But I have to change the parameters of how I'm doing it, which means I have to, and people don't necessarily have red-green, but they do have red cyan available. Red cyan is traditional,
Which is red and blue.
but you can do red and green, you can do orange and cyan. Basically, you change the colors to whatever you want.
And a lot of it is, it's in the processing, what colors you're taking out, right?
That's the processing. I can do it red, I can do any color I want, I can do a split screen, I can change the size, everything in the processing, which is where 3D is actually done for the okay, well, we'll tell you, we do it exactly as they did in Avatar. We do it in the production, we do it in the back room, folks. Yeah, it's all processed material, because I can turn this if I want to into, actually I have been turning this into 3D, so the first thing we did this morning will be 3D.
Like this.
Yeah, but we don't have to do this, we do normal.
Well, yeah, we just talk normally with our hands.
Because it shows
Instead
you.
of trying to stand like this. I mean, how boring is it if you're going to sit there and watch us just sit there?
Yeah, but neither
You
one of
could be
us.
just talking
But
heads.
neither one of us stand still to begin with. Because as you see, I dip off the camera to get stuff and things. But I just have used the old traditional because it's been here since I think 1927, and it will be here in 2011. It will, because it's the simplest stuff to do. Actually, I can tell you, it is the starting point for everything. You start there and then you move it beyond. I mean, like there's, to get to those clear glasses, basically you have to go through a series of processing in order to get you change, and then basically as you're changing, you decide on what process you want it to be seen in. I can produce it, you can do it for the active shutter if they give you the code for me to use. That's all it is. And most of the places that turn out this stuff professionally, I can't tell you the name of the company because then people would be after it. But they'll sit there and
Is it industry secret?
industry secret, yeah. Oh God, because everybody would be using them.
You probably are in the industry.
But they basically they'll basically say well, you want it to be in. You want this smoky thing, you want this clear, you want this amber, you want that. Then they just set it to a simple process. You go, and then here, or and here, there, there. All they do is they just move whatever you want it done, they take it in that process. This is like we're talking about cost prohibitive. Because, say, like I said, you've got, I don't know, a dozen major TV companies out there that are going to have their own 3D channels. The networks are going to have their own 3D channels. Cable are going to have 3D channels. You're going to have all the sporting organizations are going to have their own 3D channels, and everyone's going to be. They'll all be proprietary because they all want to, the money comes off the glasses. So you're talking about the company that do the processing. You're going to be. It's like a wall. Like you see this wall of monitors. You're going to have the guy going. Like this is going crazy, like and because you're going to have your glasses on for each one of the things, and he's okay. Can you imagine a guy,
Oh, could you imagine the guy in the processing? They do
Going
some
nuts.
things on computers, but I mean, oh no, because part of it is if you have the wrong glasses for the viewing, then it's supposed to, it just screws it up.
Last year, before the Academy Awards, we had the pleasure of we were sitting down and eating next to a cinematographer, and he was the second one at the. Previously at the Rose Parade, we talked to another cinematographer. Both of them said the same thing. We saw that thing like 5 different formats. And they said, after about 5 minutes, I got sick all the time. Because what happens,
They get motion sickness.
Yeah, motion. Here's what happens when you go like this, ooh, and you go like this, ooh, because it's basically, it's got to do,
It's line of sight.
Line of sight, and you're fooling the eyes. They said, most of the people that I've seen all say the same thing. Well, our set works best if you look at it straight on. But here is, you're not straight on, so what you do is you do like that, and you go like that, then you go, oh. You lose, basically get a little bit of motion sickness when you move. That's why it's not good to sit in a theater and go like this. Because,
What, if you're watching 3D?
yeah, because people will sit there and like rocking show
Well, 'cause they
roses
wanna
are not
see.
good in theaters with the 3D because you don't want to rock. Because it can make you sick because your things are, every time you move out of the line of sight, you're changing things a little bit. So, and they haven't developed the thing yet. Well, actually they do. I can tell you, we've seen 3D, actually we've done 3D where you don't need glasses, but it's so cost prohibitive, it's unbelievable. But it is done on a commercial basis. We've seen NHK do it, we didn't need the glasses. And you could, you didn't need glasses, you could sit there and see it, but we're talking camera
prohibitive.
lenses like this.
Those are huge.
Yeah, we're talking $1 million and like the guy over at Sprint before they fired him said, if you got $1.25 million, I know where there's a toy that, he basically sent us all after
And we all went to go look.
everybody, he said, if I had $1.25 million, I'd have one of those. But basically it's like, it's the cameras, then you have to buy a 60-foot production truck, and you have to have technicians with you all the time.
Well, because part of it is you gotta have people there that know what they're doing.
Well, because, I used to get in trouble in the early days of television, because there was a thing called riding the gain, which would, what happened is, in the early days of TV, if you didn't sit there and watch the dials, all of a sudden the thing would start creeping and
Would it really?
the picture would start, the contrast or the brightness, the hue, everything, the saturation would start moving on you, so you gotta ride the gain to make certain it doesn't do it. It's the same thing with 3D that you don't need glasses for, which our proprietary service called 3D Me. You have to watch it. If it moves, you basically lost everything. Basically, you can let it twiddle a little bit, but if it moves as much as a whole frame out of whack, you have to start over from the beginning. So you sit there and ride the thing, the entire, like 20 hours for 1 minute? That's definitely not cost, and because it's not something that you can sit there and have a machine do for you. Because the machine isn't set for it to move machine really doesn't care if it moves 1 frame. It's imperceivable to the machine. But a person that sits there and does it for a living can actually see that frame start to move.
Really?
Yeah. Your eyes get accustomed to it. That's why editors get Academy Awards and Emmys and stuff. Because they're somewhat loopy after a while watching this stuff.
It's like driving to Las Vegas.
You get it's a long nothing for hours at a time,
Or how do they say it's watching grass grow?
Yeah.
Oh.
But we, like I said, if they were truly interested in putting 3D channels out there, they'd be talking. What you do is you go because 3D at the moment, they're trying to treat it like it was the new frontier, the early days of television, when basically what you had was a lot of people putting professional stuff on the air, but it was professional stuff done. They did a lot of reality shows in the beginning. Reality television has always been there. I mean, you see Lowell Thomas and his adventures. You'll see Bob Bird and his, wildlife adventures. You see Marlon Perkins from the zoo. All of these things were shot by people that didn't really have any idea it was going to be done. My father and I we both worked on a Cisco Kid. That thing was like 250 episodes in color when they didn't have color television sets.
Are you serious?
It was being shot for something that didn't exist.
Oh.
We talk, people don't understand it. William Boyd, who was Hopalong Cassidy, shot, we're talking, he basically bought, him and Roy Rogers and Gene Autry bought all the rights to their movies before there was such a thing as television. And when television come along, they then filmed intros to the movies and things they did. I mean, I had a relative, a relative that was an actor. He was a leading man in the early 30s, and in the late 30s, he basically got lazy and started doing westerns. This guy did the same western character for like 175 feature films.
Oh, really?
And then he spent until the day he died, going to television stations across the country having festivals. They basically run his movies, and he would sit there and do voiceovers about, intro everything individually. But, well, also a Jew, like a lot of my family are Jews, they know how to make money, folks. But this stuff, early television was not created, the networks didn't put any money into things other than live programming. The studios hated television. With that, was going to destroy the business. So it was individuals like us that basically went, they basically bicycled stuff from station to station. So if you're going to do 3D, you have to do 3D from the people that are doing 3D to get it caught on. If the little guy isn't producing it, the big people upstairs aren't going to put the money into it either. You have to build an audience, and they aren't building an audience. Because how many avatars are there? How many Alice in Wonderlands are there? How many Toy Stories are there?
Not very many.
We're talking 3 in a full year. 3.
Well, I mean, part of it is one of the things that we noticed is that 3D production, when we looked at the movie slate, they had more produced in 2009 than they were planning for 2010.
Yeah, and next year, basically the same total is going back to 2009's total again, because I think there's only 3,000 plus theaters that can show 3D.
Which is part of the challenge.
So when they tell you, well, the bulk of the money was made in 3D, they sold less tickets in 3D, but they also charged up to $10 a ticket more in 3D. So 3D movies, the top movies that were made last year were all 3D, but no matter what they tell you, the majority of the tickets that were sold in 2D. The reason why the 3D side was bigger was because it cost you, the minimum, I think that they said the minimum was $6 a ticket higher.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because the theater owners didn't like it. Theater owners basically don't make as much money on a 3D picture as they do on a 2D
really?
side, yeah.
Well, because part of it is it's only one theater, probably.
Yeah.
Usually one theater, the tickets go for that one. Whereas the other ones, they can move it around in the theaters. Like it's in a bigger theater and then goes to smaller theaters.
You can't do that with the 3D thing. The 3D is stuck to whatever theater it's in. You can't bicycle it over. If it's an IMAX 3D, you can't take that IMAX 3D and put it in another 3D theater. It can't be done. IMAX strictly, you don't see IMAX on television, period, do you? Television is designed for it, so everything done in IMAX is a waste of money. I mean, you've never seen the IMAX version that made all the money for Miley Cyrus a couple of years ago.
No, I never did.
Because it can't be shown on television. You see a 2D version of it, which is a smaller version.
You see 2D on TV.
Yeah, can't be shown. You like I said, in theaters. Okay, say for instance they're playing Toy Story 3, which is in 3D. Toy Story 3 is in 3D in one theater, and it might be in 3 others of the complex, the multi-cinemas in 2D. The 3D theater will never be solid. The 2Ds will, but you don't have to sell as many tickets in 2D to make more money than you don't have to sell as many tickets in 3D as you do in 2D. So the audience is in 2D. If it wasn't in 2D, they would be turning out the movies in 3D for. They can turn out. I tell you, you want to see 3D. You want to see Alice in Wonderland in 3D. You want to see Avatar in 3D. You want to see Journey to the Center of the Earth, which the people turning out the glasses are going to make a boom for them in 3D. You want to see the Pirates in 3D, Men in Black 3 in 3D on any television set in existence. I can do it, but it ain't going to be that way. So, I can, and they say, well, how can you can? Because they're smarter than they are. And because one of my grandma's a Jew. We make money. And we have an Irish doggie but daddy is a Scotsman, so she basically, she listens to financial news every day, so.
What, she's sitting there watching us, making sure we got this stare. So she's watching us to make certain that we are productive.
That's right, because they say she's a real bitch. So yeah, she just lifted her eyes up on that one. But 3D, it's got line of sight problems, it has glass problems, and it has the same problem as they talked to us in October of last year. Product, we need the product. And it hasn't changed any.
They still need it.
Because if I can only lay my hand on 2,000 3D videos, that is not enough to keep.
It's not enough to keep a network going, or a channel.
Keep a channel going, because you got to do, even if they do the cycle, which is basically to repeat it 3 times a day, that's 8 hours a day. You got to.